I got to tell you, Trevor Bauer is quickly becoming one of my favorite players in Major League Baseball because, one of the things that I have a problem with baseball is I think, I think when we look at baseball, I kind of imagine that people don't get it in baseball. I know the owners don't get it. I know the general managers don't get it, most of them. And I was explaining it to Mike Hill too, and I think he kind of understood what I was talking about. But I think a lot of the old stodgy white dudes probably don't get it and all that. And I think a lot of the baseball players, they may not be quick enough to understand what's going on with their game. Trevor Bauer realizes it. He realizes that there's a toilet bowl and baseball is like going round and round and round on that toilet bowl and just going lower and lower and lower until it gets completely flushed out. Right? And I've talked several times about what you need to do in baseball. Trevor obviously was pissed with the new rules they came out. Let's hear from Trevor Bauer, okay? I want you to hear from Trevor Bauer and listen to a lot of the things that he'll say. We'll stop it along the way so we can make some points. But this is a couple minutes, and I love the passion behind this. I love the common sense behind all of this. I think it's just really, really freaking cool the way Trevor Bauer expressed himself in this video because it needs to be said. Not a lot of guys have the balls to say it. I would think most of them aren't smart enough to figure it out. I just get a feeling that baseball players are happy cashing their checks. And I'm talking about the older ones, okay? Young players, because I got to sit down with Jazz and I got to sit down with Monte and I got to sit down with Duggar and all these other guys and Steckenrider. And I think because they're young guys, they kind of get it. Let's hear from Trevor Bauer on his response to, of course, Rob Manfred and their stupid-ass ideas.
Really upset about this new ridiculous playoff policy that Rob Manfred has suggested or proposed or leaked. I don't even know how it got on the internet. I don't know why it would even get on the internet. It's that ridiculous. Like, just reading through it without even thinking about it for a second, they're just wrong. Like, who put this out without thinking of the fact that the best team in the league is going to get a 6-day layoff, a 7-day layoff, while we sort out this whole 3 games here and this wild card, and we're going to pick our opponent, and we're going to do this whole reality TV stuff. Meanwhile, the best team in baseball is sitting at home waiting for all this crap to transpire. God forbid someone's ace pitches 4 days before the end of the regular season and then has 10 days in between starts. And this isn't football where you can heal up, and that helps. Like, being on a routine is so important in baseball. We play for 6 months, and now you're going to say at the most critical time of the year that we're going to get 10 days off maybe, or the 6 days in between games, and who knows how the pitching rotation lines up and all this different stuff, and that's supposed to be a benefit? That's supposed to be the best team in baseball gets this benefit? These are just some things that come off the top of my head. The first time I read through the proposal, I haven't even had time to think about this.
Now, he's 1,000% right. Baseball is a rhythm sport. And it's happened many, many times when guys come off injuries or they have any kind of time off. It happens at the beginning of the season. A lot of players are cold with their bats. They're not, in a groove. Pitchers aren't in a groove. It happens. It takes them a little while to get some innings in, to get their flow going. And the same thing with batters. They haven't seen pitches. You know what I mean? Even in spring training, they're not seeing regular season effort like. You know what I'm saying? Guys in spring training are working on stuff. They're working on a curve. They're working on a forkball. They're working on a slider. They're working on their fastball. And they're testing stuff out during spring training. Plus, they're not really completely stretched out. And so there's a process. And he's right. mean, he should know. He's a baseball player. But 10 days, think about that part, that if you give him a week off, but if your ace had pitched a couple of days before that, that guy's going to be off for 10 days. And you just don't know how you're going to respond. And he's right. It's not football that you want to like heal up and all of that. And in football, you might be a little off the first series or something or two, but after that, you're gone. You're ready to go. And again, these are stupid things that baseball comes up with. Now, I want you to listen to him as he expresses himself, because he focuses in on the right things. One of the things that I love about doing this job, and one of the things that I think separates me a lot from a lot of the people that do this job, is they'll say, fire the coach. Just like a lot of the fans, fire the coach. But they won't have a solution. Right? Like for years, I would tell you, fire this GM, go hire Alonzo Highsmith. And I gave you several other names too back in those days. I didn't just tell you, fire Tannenbaum. I didn't just tell you, fire Ireland. No. I told you, hire Alonzo Highsmith. Last year, I didn't just tell you, fire Gase and Tannenbaum. I told you, fire Gase, Tannenbaum, and put Greer in place. I usually have, I don't tell you, no, you got to get rid of this quarterback, but I'll tell you who you got to draft. You know what I mean? I usually give you a solution to something. You know what I'm saying? Baseball, I've done it already. I've given you solutions. And that's what I do that's a lot different than most of the people on air. Like today, I'm going to give you a couple of free agent targets for the Dolphins. Anybody else do that? Of course not, because they're not going to do their homework. And they don't know enough people or whatever. They're not going to be able to get the information. So I get all of that. But my point is, most people that are on air or even writing, yeah, they'll complain and bitch, but they won't have a solution to the problem. Okay? Because that's usually what comes with it. Well, if you're going to get rid of this person, for who? Who are you going to get? Right? When I tell you I don't want Tua, but if you want Tua, then I tell you get this guy. And I give you a couple names. Right? So Bauer, I love the fact that he didn't just bitch. And he'll continue to bitch now. But he also gave you solutions, which is what I love. Go for it.
You know what? Let me mention one other thing. The number one team usually in the division, okay, like the Dodgers, they didn't play a competitive game the last 2 weeks. It's not even a week before.
Right.
You're talking about usually they got a 4 or 5 game lead, and the last week, 10 days doesn't. So you're going to make it like 15 to 20 days.
Well, yes and no, because if the manager knows you're working to that, you'll play your guys down the stretch to keep them as game ready as possible.
You're going to be the one, right.
As a manager, you have to have that foresight in order to see that coming. So then, okay, I'm going to give you a week off anyway. So whatever, I got to get you out there, and the player will want to play.
Of course, yes.
Unless there's an injury involved, and then that's where the time becomes beneficial for you, only for injury purposes. Guy's got a hamstring. You know what? I'm glad I could give him an extra week off. I could get that hammy ready, and he can run the bases for me. That kind of stuff. Let's continue with Trevor. Let's try to continue.
I just read it like an hour ago, and I just am so beside myself with Rob Manfred and his ridiculous rule changes that he keeps proposing. We're going to move the mound back 2 feet. We're going to have a 3-batter minimum. We're going to get the games under 3 hours because that's what fans want. Fans don't care if the game's 2 hours and 57 minutes or 3 hours. The reason that you wanted to do that in the first place is because all the people that own media companies that own baseball teams are the ones that voted you in as commissioner in the first place. So you're protecting them. So in that case, you should probably know something about media. You should probably understand what people are connecting with. Since those are the people that voted you in as commissioner, you should probably understand.
Let me interject here. He's right. He's right. I mean, look, man, if you're a baseball fan, it's not about time. I've never been the person that complains about time. Okay? Just like I've never been the person that says, well, I don't want instant replay because it delays the game. No, dude, get the call right. Get the call right. I've been covering this stuff for 30 years now. I've been in locker rooms a lot. Okay, I've dealt with players, with coaches, with the front office people. I know how hard they work, man. I know how hard you work. I know how hard I work. Do you want people to get things wrong around you? No. Man, I've worked in radio, which I've worked with a lot of idiots. Okay? I mean, morons. Last 2 places I've been to, wow. Okay? I mean, just people that are they don't belong anywhere in our business. So I don't want to see a referee make a bad call. So I'm glad, take an extra 60 seconds. Take an extra 2 minutes to diagnose the play, the replay, get it right. Baseball is the same way, man. If the pitcher's on the mound and he's pitching lights out at 150 miles an hour and striking everybody out and we're out in 220, great. We're out in 240, that's great. If there were pitching changes because there was a lot of hits and home runs and we're out in 315, it is what it is, man. That's baseball. There's no clock here. Just let's play the game. Let's have some fun. And he's right. That stuff of 3 hours is not really so much about the fans. It's really more about these TV companies that they want you to stay within the 3 hours so you can keep them inside that time block. Because then when you start going over, then you start pushing back other programming, and they're like, well, we've got to join this regularly scheduled program in progress. You know, all that kind of crap that they're worried about. And so you're trying to appease somebody else when what you should be doing is what's best for the game.
Understand something about media. So I don't want to rant too much, but God, I just had to get this off my chest. And I want to focus on some solutions, some things we can do in media. Like, Rob, if you understood media, maybe as the commissioner of baseball, you could solve some of these things. Like how in one of your biggest markets, half the fans can't even watch the damn game because of TV deals. Like, I grew up, what got me into baseball is I grew up going to see one Dodger game a year. I'd go to one a year. We didn't have money to go to more than that. I'd sit out in the bleachers. We'd listen to Vince Scully on the radio with my dad. But we watched Dodger games all the time. I was sitting in bed at night watching Dodger games. This is what got me into baseball. Half the people in local markets have blackouts. They buy the MLB package to watch their favorite team, and they can't even watch their favorite team half the time. I know that's not all on Rob, but as the commissioner, figure it out, man. Like, how are we supposed to spread the game? How are we supposed to get people interested, young people, the missing generation of baseball fans? How are we supposed to get them interested in the game when they can't even see the damn game?
And I think he's alluding to the problem with Yes Network. I think there's a lot of people, I think in New York, that have there's a cable thing or something like that with Yes, and that's happened throughout the country. Some of it is not on Rob. He's right, but these are the things that can't happen. You can't have those kind of issues with your sport. You got to be able to feed the masses so you can try to bring in the biggest audience possible. Continue.
And on top of that, they can't even go to Twitter where all the young people hang out. You can't even go to social media and see anything about the game. Steph Curry throws a bounce pass in an NBA game, and it's trending with 1.5 million views 5 minutes later, and Mike Trout goes and launches himself and robs a homer or something, and you can't find the highlight anywhere online. It's ridiculous.
Now, I think I've mentioned this several times. I mentioned it also to I think it was to Monty. We were talking about this, and I mentioned it to Mike Hill also. Social media, man. Social media. It's how you connect with people. That's how you get your news. I mean, if you're on Twitter, you'll get news before anybody, because Twitter will break it right away, because every resource, every media outlet is on Twitter. That's where they first break it. Then they go into their radio, TV, cable, magazine, newspaper, and then they break it, radio station, whatever. Schefter breaks it first on Twitter, then he goes on ESPN, because if he goes on ESPN, if he waits to go on ESPN, somebody else might beat him to put it on Twitter. It'll be Rappaport beating him. Right? You know, it's just that's you might want to fix the camera, bro. There we go. Anyway, so the
getting a tighter shot for you, brother.
Yeah, they don't want anything tight with me, bro. There's nothing tight with me. Okay, the last thing they want is me. But the Twitter thing, like, I got to get this idiot involved, and it's like he's completely lost in this world.
Hey, the night
because he's not even connected to social media. He's barely connected to. He's like on a, and I'm trying to convince him that, hey, in this business you won't survive without it.
The night you broke Minka, 1 minute later the guy from Pittsburgh threw it up.
Yeah,
Literally 1 minute difference.
Yeah. I mean, but that's how it is. But you got to get it out there as soon as possible. You know, it's just weird, man, the way, but you got it. This is our world, and it's amazing. He's right. Steph can do whatever, and it's all over social media. You got Embiid and Jimmy Butler and the Sixer fans and all, and it's a story. Does that ever happen in baseball? No, but it should. It needs to happen in baseball. Guys need to go at each other, have some fun with it. Not hit each other, not throw at their heads, bro. That's not what they're doing in basketball and football and soccer. They're having fun. Think about this. Trevor Bauer has created more buzz for baseball on social media by ripping his own sport than anything else. And you know how many fun things you can do in baseball with social media? I mean, give me a break, dude. The catches against the wall, the running of the bases, the home runs, the great hits, the funny catches by fans in the stands, guys going into the stands trying to catch foul balls. There's so many things going on, the goofiness that goes on in the dugout with them wearing their hats one way or the other, or chewing gum or spitting and whatever. And
blowing a bubble and put it on top of a guy's hat.
Yeah, whatever. All the dumbass things that they do in baseball. There's 162 games. There's a lot of dead time, which creates a lot of just stupidity. Right? I mean, that's just the way it rolls. So if you're going to do this, then you got to do it the right way. And you got to be a part of the world. And in basketball, they get it. And when Iguodala, doesn't want to play for Memphis, and Steph Curry tweets out about how Memphis and all this is treating Iguodala, and he puts up championships with Iguodala, and then Ja Morant tweets out to Steph, and he puts out Kevin Durant. No, dude. Yeah, you won a championship with Draymond. I get that, but this is why you won. In a way, it's kind of sending, no, dude. It's this guy, and this is the fun stuff that becomes a thing that is viral, and everybody's talking about it. Did you see this whole thing with Iguodala and Steph Curry, and the youngster Ja Morant is getting in on it because he's the leader of that basketball team now as a 19-year-old. These are things that you never, ever see in baseball. And we got to get to it because he just said it. Trevor just said it. That's where your young people are. It's harder to get the old people like this idiot on social media because they're intimidated 99% of the time with social media because they don't know what the hell to do when they get in there. That's what happens to older people. Oh, what's a podcast? How do I download it? How do I find it? What's social media? What's Instagram? What's Facebook? What's Twitter? What's WhatsApp? And that's the problem. A lot of your baseball fans are old. They're my age or older. And I know that I'm like one of the freaks at my age, that I'm social media active and that I understand it and all of that, but I have to. How would I survive in this business? You got to have it. It's got to be part of you work in a news agency, you got to have a Twitter handle, man. You work in promotions, you got to have a Twitter handle. You work in sales, you got to have a Twitter handle. You work in radio and TV, Twitter, you got to have it. Instagram, you got to have it.
Being a Yankee fan, there's one guy that sends out a little thing every night after the game, emojis. Didi Gregorius.
Right.
The Philadelphia Philly fans will see. And the thing is, there's not even interaction. There might be another player that, hey, Bob, what? That's it. But it's so not, like that could start something. and it does, like it goes nowhere.
It has
And
to-
Didi almost does it every night. He's kind of creative, throws out
Well,
little,
he's young.
little emojis and
He's
stuff,
young.
and the Philly fans will see it. It's fun, but yeah.
He's young.
And the post game every night would make it a point to pop up Didi's comments.
Young people have to start it, but baseball has to allow it. And baseball has to get away from their stupid ass unwritten rules, bro.
I think they're too, you know what? There's still that crotchety element of that's still holding.
And that's
like why one person didn't vote for Jeter. That is a perfect example.
It's
that
killing
crotchety,
the sport.
retarded.
It's killing the sport. The MLS will pass up baseball in 2030.
They are their own worst enemy, man.
10 years from now, baseball will be the fourth sport in this country, and the MLS will move up to number 3. Okay? It's already number 4. It's already ahead of hockey. It's already got a larger fan base than hockey. That's not even up for argument. Okay? And when it comes to young people, forget about it.
There are some cities. I would say Atlanta. I am sure that the soccer team they outdraw the basketball team.
The Flames and the Thrashers combined, okay, which are the two different teams that were there, that combined never drew what the United drew in one season. Combined. You can get 82 games combined with those two teams, and they didn't outdraw the Atlanta United. But that why? Because young people forget about they don't care about hockey. Hockey's way down the totem pole already at this point. Hockey's behind the MMA. All right? I mean, it's so far behind it's not even funny.
You didn't even say UFC, you said MMA.
Yeah, MMA. yeah. Bellator passed him up. I mean, it just and they have no presence on social media either. At all. Let's continue with Trevor Bauer here.
That baseball advanced media that was designed to just centralize all MLB content and force people to pay to have access to it. Great, you made a lot of money up front, but you centralize all this content, you make people pay for it, and you know what you get? You get a missing generation of fans. You make some money up front, great, and you miss a generation of fans, and the game is losing popularity, and especially amongst young people. I mean, let's not even talk about like the shoes, the cleats. Oh, hey, Mike Clevenger, you can't wear those shoes that are colorful that everybody on Twitter likes because it violates our stupid cleat policy where you get 3 colors of cleats. Like, I mean, what does it even matter? Just let the players express themselves. Let it have some personality. You want to market the game? Don't change it. Don't make the mound 62 feet. Don't make playoffs where you have to pick your opponent and freaking whatever. Don't change the game. Market the players. You have more players in baseball than any other league with much more diverse backgrounds worldwide, more so than any of the other major American sports. And it's the least marketable. It's because you make stupid decisions about how you market the players. You don't open it up. Let content go. Get it out there.
How can you argue with any of that right there? It's impossible. They don't know how to market their stars. The NBA does. And that's what you got to do with baseball, man. You got to market the players. It's funny because when some of us were laughing at Jose Lima and it's Lima time, and when we see Ricky Henderson now, and we remember that, this is what is important. Those moments, we had to build on those moments. We needed the more of the Ricky Hendersons of the world, the guys that brought the flash to the game. I mean, the day that Babe Ruth called his shot, little did you know that that's what you needed 100 years later.
We don't even know if it's true or not.
Well, whatever.
But it's most remembered.
But that's what you need in this game. You need those kind of moments. You got to call your shot. You got to swing, and then when you swing like with style with Ricky, and then you like flip that bat and you have that little hop, and then you start strutting. That's fine, bro. I'm good. And you know what? Start blaring on the speakers all over the place. Bob Seger strut. Whatever. I don't care. Let's have fun with it. It's a great thing. When Mariano's coming out to enter Sandman, my Lord, that's just like one of the coolest things ever in the history of baseball.
My dad know who's Metallica is because of that.
Right. I mean, it's just awesome. But these are moments that they don't have enough of because they're not marketing the game. Back in the day, we had that commercial with Bird and Magic and McDonald's, and they were challenging each other. Well, dude, why aren't we doing that in baseball? Why aren't we getting Didi Gregorius and Mike Trout in a commercial? And they're having fun at the ballpark and trying to do trick hits or whatever. I don't know, whatever.
Something simple. Sammy sprinting out to right field.
Yeah.
Just that little simple thing.
Yeah. Hey, when Ozzie Smith used to come out to the infield and do the flip, that was like everybody was, when you would watch Ozzie Smith run onto the field, you were, okay, he's going to do a flip. He's going to do a flip, boom. Those were little things. You know how much that could have gone viral nowadays? That flip from Ozzie Smith? These are things that, it's all stupid little things, but that's what Twitter is. That's what social media is. Silly little things that you do. And people like it because it shows personality. It shows color to the game. And the problem is baseball's boring, stodgy, stupid, unwritten rules. It's just stuff that just it doesn't make any sense. And what was it? Cyndi Lauper years ago sung that girls want to have fun. Well, people just want to have fun, not just girls. Okay, people just want to have fun. And we're not having enough fun watching baseball.
You know what's one of?
We need to have fun.
Superstitions, all the players having like every time this guy doesn't touch the line, the way he hops in like 80 of
That's
them over
it.
the seat. Just little stupid stuff, like you're saying.
Don't drink Joe Boo's liquor, bro, because then you're gonna be screwed. Let's finish here with Trevor Bauer.
Quit with this stupid cleat policy, the stupid BAM policy, blackouts all over the place. And that's just dealing with content that we already have available. Where's the innovation in content? Where's the next thing that's going to draw fans in? Who's innovating? Who's creating something new? Who's trying to identify with the young fans? God, it's frustrating, man. I don't know. I got so much more to say on this, but I can't waste all my time on just pointless crap that's not going to change. So, Rob, if you're watching this video, you probably won't because you don't even have a pulse on the game that you're commissioner of. But if you're watching this video, you want to talk about some stuff, you want some recommendations, hit me up. I'm sure you can get in contact with me. I'm sure you'll probably be finding me or something like that.
I'm sure you can contact me. I'm sure you'll be finding me for this stuff, because all I'm doing is spewing logic. So, of course, let me just, because, again, it's just moving the mound and the best team is going to pick their opponents in the playoffs. And they come up with these stupid things that are not going to improve the game at all.
I love the way you called it reality show crap.
Yeah, it's just garbage, man. Entertain, dude. You don't need to speed the game up. You don't need to do any of that. Entertain. By the way, football games are over 3 hours, and it's the number one sport in this country by miles and miles and miles. And all they do is review more, and all they do is give their coaches more challenges, and it's extending the game, and it's more commercials and all of that. And guess what? It doesn't stop us. I didn't even get to it yesterday because, of course, I always do this. Super Bowl audience, remember it was at 103 million? The total audience now figured in was 135 to 140 million when they figured in bars. How about that? So it went up to 135 to 140 million is what they feel. Like when they were watching televisions, it was 103. But when they figured in all the people at parties and bars and all that, They think it's right around 135 to 140 million. Remember, there's 330 million people in this country. So nearly half the people were watching football. Okay? About 40%, let's say. 40% of this country was watching the Super Bowl. And the Super Bowl takes forever, dude. And the halftimes are forever. And we're watching. We're watching because we love it. We can't have enough of it. You know?
Look, as a Yankees, Red Sox, and a Yankee fan, you go in and you know, man, if you're under 4 hours, you're lucky. It's usually on the other side of 4:30.
But it's Yankees Red Sox.
Exactly.
And it has plenty of drama behind it. Imagine if you added fun to it. Wow. What a concept. What a concept. And remember, Yankees Red Sox is living off of their fan bases, their old fan bases. Even a rivalry like that will die if you don't revive the game. All right, let's take a break because obviously we've gone a little over here. But great stuff from Trevor Bauer.
You know what's one point that you keep bringing up that I do want to, like, totally pound? There's plenty of time in baseball to do this stuff. It isn't like there's a bunch of time in between pitching and all the, you know what I mean? There's plenty of time to do this.
Yep. I got to tell you, you know what I would do? I would hire a couple of social media coordinators for every team. And all they do is walk around with cameras and film stuff and take pictures of stuff that goes on all the time throughout the pregame, the game, and the postgame. Stuff, of course, that isn't, private or anything that's going to, insult anybody, but fun stuff that happens, plays, whatever. And they're constantly posting it on
stuff
social
that teams can't use to cheat. Is that what you?
Yeah. No, I'm just saying. No, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, like, if somebody's picking their nose or something, or they're having a serious conversation, and you happen to record like the animated part of it, and you're
picking his seat, picking his jock out of his.
Yeah, I'm just saying stuff that you won't get anybody in trouble with. You know what I'm saying? So all the fun stuff you can actually do. And I would do that. I would just have it posted all the freaking time, man. All the pies and all that stuff, that should be on every time. Whatever they do to players at the end of games that are the game of, the player of the game, and they throw Gatorade and pies and water and whatever else crazy ass thing they come up with, that all should be filmed. That all should be posted. That all should have animation to it. That all should have some kind of production to it. Music, whatever. Go the extra mile, baseball.